Okay, this is the little video review of William James, and I just have to confess to you that even though this is a hard text, and I don't think many of you liked it because you have to wade through so much to get to the good parts, it's actually my favorite text of the semester. Maybe you just saw the Aquinas video, and it was, you remember that Aquinas cared, how do we prove God? Is God real? It's either through your revelation or reason, but he really wanted to prove God. William James, interestingly, does not care if God exists or not. He doesn't try to prove that. He's only interested in what it feels like to believe in God. He's interested in these sort of psychological effects of religion, of true belief. He's not saying that it's not true, but he's not saying that it is either. And if you read long enough until the very end, you'd see that he even says, maybe God is something in our whole collective unconscious that just sort of comes to light when we pay attention to it and guides us into being better people. But I think that's important to start off with, that William James he's a pragmatist. And what that means is he's not interested in the truth of something. He's interested in how does that affect us? You know, like you might say, well, like my neighbor just said yesterday, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, doesn't matter. You still have to pay the gas bill. Right, so maybe the question doesn't matter at all, whether there is or there isn't really a divine being, or whether you believe or not. Is your life really going to change? It's a good question. However, James is sure that your life will change if you're a true believer. Right, and so on page 1 you have these 5 great criteria, which you should know, be able to find, of what a religious person believes, how they experience religion. The visible world is part of a larger spiritual universe. Union with that larger universe is our true purpose in life. Prayer or communication with the spiritual world will bring about real effects, either in the psyche of the believer or perhaps even in the real world. Religion has psychological benefits, a new enthusiasm and zest for life, and a feelings of peace and safety. There should be 5. I have to check on that. But anyway, it's the list on the very page 1. You can find it on the very first page. Many of you, rightfully so, pointed out that James said there's no single religion that's best to adhere to. We're supposed to accept and tolerate all different religions. All religions are equally valid, and it's up to the individual to choose the one that best suits them and to find their own relationship to that, and that's all great. But you focus too much on the individual and the differences and the importance of tolerating the other that you forget point 2, which is also very important. James is trying to find what's common to all religious experience. He says that, when we survey the whole field of religion, we find a great variety in the thoughts that have prevailed there, but the feeling on the one hand and the conduct on the other are almost always the same for Stoic and Christian and Buddhist saints, are practically indistinguishable. So he's looking for what all religious people share, and I think that's kind of important because he's looking for the essence of religion, not the essence of Christianity, not the essence of Islam, not the essence of Navajo Indian or tarot reading, but what it means to kind of consult and build a relationship with a spiritual order. Now we're going to get to human nature. William James thinks that it is part of human nature to have a certain uneasiness about oneself. You can find it in the text. There's a sense that there is something wrong about us as we naturally stand, and we seek a solution, and we are saved from this wrongness by making a proper connection with the higher powers. So again, in his own words, we may or may not be, depending on whether you're religious, aware of a higher and lower part of yourselves, a kind of division in yourself. I've covered everything. I don't know if I was clear enough about the subjective and objective world, but subjective is just basically all your thoughts and feelings and maybe the words that you choose. It's your mind and personality and your unique experience. Whereas objective is like the physical world outside of you that everyone sees and everyone shares. So, and we're always living in both realms. Anyway, the reason I bring that up is because James says that religion is subjective, but this doesn't make it less real, because he's also arguing that the subjective world is the most real for us. And by that, I think he just means the most important, the most essential. We care a lot more if we're going to be happy next week than what the weather is going to be next week. That's why, to go back again, James says that religion is always a way for the individual to work out their own personal destiny. Okay, so I think I covered everything. Hit the highlights again. He doesn't care if God really exists or not, if religion is true or not. It's all about the way that belief affects the psychology and the experience and the life of the believer. It's a pragmatic approach. What are the effects on the person? Religion is about the individual's desire to engage a higher realm or a higher force greater than themselves to improve their own life and improve their own fate. It's personal. Last question I'll leave you with. If you had to compare James with Aquinas, what would be the single biggest difference there? Well, Aquinas is trying to prove God, and James explores the question of what God might be, and he does seem to believe in some higher power for sure, but he doesn't try to prove it at all. And it could just be something within our own psyche. Okay, good. I hope that helps.